if we do see those interest rates continue to, well, they haven't been dropping, but if we do see them drop, that again is gonna. I just want to relate this back to the very, very basics, just so that everyone's on the same page here. Is that would potentially indicate that, it's just cheaper to borrow money and so on, and this is what leads to more money printing, or at least money printing is what leads to this. So that again could lead to just more speculation in the markets. Just more money kind of flooding back in. Okay. So you're thinking the same thing.
It is. It's the same again. We have more money flooding into the market. We have more money searching for potentially assets that are going to give a higher return than the risk-free rate. And so the risk-free rate being the Fed interest rate at the moment. So maybe, institutions, people are going to buy stocks again, are going to buy crypto again. So this is actually potentially something that could kind of initiate the next bull run for stocks and for crypto.
Yeah, it's really interesting how that happens because on one side you'd be like, well, everything's completely fucked. Why would anything go up? But I think it's important to keep in mind that these markets, people are speculating, so everyone wants to be early to what's going to happen, right? So everyone's trying to front run everyone else. And that's why we see, for example, right when you wouldn't expect it, the market starts to turn down, and right when you wouldn't expect it, the market starts to turn up, because we are just trying to, be the first ones in. As traders, it's not about what's going to happen today. We want to make the move today for what's going to happen next week.
And that is like really putting, the inflation numbers coming out tomorrow into a whole new perspective for me as well. Because if they are really much, much lower than the forecast, people looking back in a couple of months could say like, okay, this is where it started all. This is why the Fed then started to peak peak interest rates and maybe lower them sooner than they are saying right now.
Yeah. So, but that's interesting, because I believe it was Jerome Powell, making statements about how like there are continued hikes that he is expecting to make. But what you're saying is that potentially, just correct me if I'm wrong, like that potentially might not happen, and that he might kind of backtrack on which I don't know why everyone's acting like, when Jerome Powell says something like it's, gospel, and it's like definitely 100% true. Like I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking about the US government, right? Like it wouldn't be the first time in history that they say something and then do the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, there's this saying amongst traders, never trade against the central bank, and because they have indefinite money and they can always outtrade you. But for sure, I mean, we've seen the central banks being wrong just recently. We just need to look like slightly over a year back when we heard things like, oh, inflation is going to be transitory. We don't need to raise the rates right now because it's going there. The inflation is going to come down by itself again. Well, then it didn't. It went higher. Then they started raking heights like crazy, and maybe they overdid it a little bit to the other sides, And it's always like this. You do something not strong enough. The next time you do it, you tend to do it too strong,
And what you said earlier a few minutes ago kind of sounded like, they increased interest rates, perhaps, a little bit aggressively, but it almost, in some ways, does not. It sounds like it puts them in a position where now they can, reduce them, and it's almost like they kind of did it on purpose. I don't want to get into like conspiracy theories or anything at all, but like almost as if there's a little bit of alpha that perhaps they had, where like if they can get it up to a certain level, then like they know there's a problem that's going to come in, but they can fix that problem by dropping interest rates. So
who knows what is going on there, right? Especially when we're talking about the USA on a political level. Sometimes it seems like, personal interest outweighs the public interest. And I certainly agree with you on that. And so that could be something, also could have been a power move, that they thought like, okay, we've been appearing in the public very weak now, like we don't know what we are doing, so we need to come extra strong through the door now. And like I said before, now they are overdoing it. But let's see. I mean, it really all depends on what is going down today.